And then for the tag manager, so it's pretty much going to be the same process no matter what for setting all these up. Like I said, so Squarespace hasn't really changed too much. It's really helpful for us. So I'm actually going to hop over, and right now we're going to go because you guys will also have this slide deck, and so don't need to worry about that. Okay, but what we're going to do is actually hop over to an account, and we are going to do this live. So I'm in Tag Manager, and I've got all my helpful accounts that have already been set up. And what I'm going to do is create a new account, which is going to be most likely the first step that you're going to have. And in this one, it's going to be Search and Social Geeks. That's the name of the website that we're doing this for. We're going to pick country that we're in my case, Canada. You can share it anonymously with Google or not, totally up to you. I'm not going to because why not? And I'm going to copy the name of my website. So generally you want to put it in here. Google gets kind of mad, but what you do is to make sure that you know which site this is going on, separate out whether it's going to, for each domain, you're going to have a different container. So in this case, I'm doing it for searchandsocialgeeks.com, which is the website we're going to put this on. And so in this case, I am going to obviously pick it for web. If you have an app, you can do it for those as well. Or if you have an accelerated mobile page, some people do. And then also there's the server side, which is a lot more advanced, but that is really useful, especially for, as I talked about with the Facebook Pixel. That's how you can integrate the API connection. But for right now, we're just going to do web, make it nice and simple for everyone. We're going to create. And then this is basically covering over Google's privacy policy and how that all works and how they are. It's a lot of their and legalese that covers them for things like GDPR compliance and CCEC, I believe is the California version of the GDPR law. So basically you just go down, you accept it, and then in the top right-hand corner, click yes. So now they are going to bring you over to this handy little section. And what we do is we're going to start off. We are going to hit copy. So in the top right-hand corner of this little space, you'll see that there's a little icon here that will copy it to your clipboard. And then I'm going to go over to, I've already signed into my website and I can tell that I am an admin because I'm seeing all the plugins. And so that's your way of, if you log into a WordPress website, that you have the right permission structure. You're probably going to need admin level in order to either install a plugin that will help you connect to the header and footer code, or even accessing it. Generally, you'll need that as well. So in my case, I wanted to open up the header and footer so I can install a snippet of code. And so
Can I interject for a sec?
Yes.
Sometimes if you are using a website, a lot of websites have themes like Divi or Elementor, or I think Cadence has one. So sometimes there's actually a place to put the code on your site, and we can show you some examples of that at the end for sure. But we mostly always will put on this header and footer plugin to make it easier. And
yeah, generally, if you are looking to see where to go to find that, it will be under appearance and then customize. Almost always Divi is a little different, that it's inside of the Divi tab that's here, and then you go to integrations. But generally, if you go to appearance, then customize, that's generally where you'll find something. And it's usually called header footer or additional scripts. That's another big one, as well as some tab like that, where you're basically putting in some JavaScript into the top. In our case, as I just showed you when I went to the appearance and then customize, that I only had these tabs available to me. So I need to add a plugin to do that. And in this case, the plugin that I was using is, I actually had it already installed because we were already practicing, but it is called Header Footer Code Manager by 99 Robots. Very straightforward plugin. Again, you don't want to have too many of these plugins because they do slow down your website. But the tab that it will show up as is HFCM right here. And in my case, we're going to go all snippets. And now that I'm here, I am going to add a new one. In this case, the snippet is called tag manager. I'm going to call it head, and it's going to be HTML. That's fine. That's going to be site wide. Doesn't have anything.
Funny note.
Okay. And I'm not looking to exclude because I want the tag manager to run on every page. So that's perfect. Location header, that's perfect. And then the code itself, and I'm just going to hit paste because we had it copied from before. And then we're going to hit save. And perfect. So now this has been created. And so we are going to create a add a new snippet at the top there. And this one is going to be called body. And we're going to go back to Tag Manager and we're going to install the second part of Tag Manager. So this little guy does all of the on-page tracking as well. Oh, for this, selecting target platform, we can always change it back, right? So for the Joanne, so there are some situations where you do want to exclude certain pages. Generally with the tag manager, that's not the case because you will be picking which pages it shows up on and how it operates inside a tag manager. Basically, you want it to have access everywhere. In the case that they're talking about is there can be certain tracking of blog posts you might want, you might have a conversion tag that's set up. There are situations in which you would want to exclude pages, but generally how this works is that you want to give tag manager as much availability to do what it wants, and then you're going to tell tag manager is actually going to be the one that's going to exclude things. And I don't get for this selecting target platform, we can always change it back, right? Is that in the tag manager itself?
So previously, when you were right at the beginning, there's like a few sites like AMP, and you can always go back and change it, right?
What I would do is if that was the situation, I would just create a new container because it's going to be a different platform. And my understanding is they kind of operate a little differently if it's an app or if it's a web. What I would do is I would just label it I'd create a new container inside of the account, which I'll show you guys right after I've installed this code, how you can create a second one if you need one.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's a good question though. Yeah, I do appreciate that. Okay, so we are going to copy Mr. Body Code and go back over to our WordPress website. And so in this case, the location, I want it in the footer. So that means that it's going to be placed in the body tag. Basically, there's going to be the head code that's all kind of invisible stuff. Usually that's like styling, JavaScript is all in the head, SEO stuff as well. And then in the body where, people are clicking, this is where we're going to put this code. And this code's actually going to be tracking things. So we can actually, when we go into the tag manager class, we're going to use tag manager to track things like link clicks, like your mail to your phone, your contact form, like all kinds of stuff. Videos we can track in here as well. There's all kinds of really cool stuff that we can do with tag manager and tracking. And all that's done because of this little guy who's just there kind of quietly keeping tabs on what people are clicking on. Of course, now we're going to hit save. And so now what we need to do, hit update, and then we need to go back over to the plugin. The first thing you need to do is make sure that this has been published in order to check that it's been installed correctly. So we just need to go in the top right-hand corner, you click on submit, and then I always give them a name, this one, initial setup, and hit publish. Okay, so now what we do to test it is this is on a maintenance mode right now, so I'll need to turn this off. So on this spot, I'll just deactivate the plugin. Okay. And maintenance, deactivate. So now we are going to go visit the website. And again, as we mentioned, you want to have a Chrome extension called Tag Assistant, Google Tag Assistant Legacy, and then you'll click on it because right now it's not detecting anything. And we click on Enable in the bottom left-hand corner of the Chrome extension. And then we refresh the page. And so we do have multiple tag managers, which I'll fix that afterwards. And what we do to check that ours got installed correctly is we're going to go to the workspace and we are looking for the ID in the top menu on the right hand side. So GTM 5C9P P2NZ. And we have it here. And okay, no script not found, either missing or not in the body. Okay. So that's interesting. So how we can fix this? Okay. So to make sure that we're looking for the right code, we're in Tag Manager. We're going to go to the admin section, and this is where you can create another container is in this section here. But they also, in case that window goes away for you and you need to come back to get it again, you go into the container and it's going to have install Google Tag Manager. And so that's where this code is, just in case you ever need to open it up again, that's where it is. So it's not lost forever. But in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to hit share and I'm going to open up the inspect element on the page because I want to hit find GTM. Okay, we've got 6.
We can't see the inspect element.
Oh, you can't see it? Really? Oh, that's annoying.
You have to show them.
Sorry about
and
what now?
Yes. So the inspect element is when you go to a website and you right click on it, you'll get a little box that opens up. Phelan, do you want to show them? Right click and then inspect. Yes.
Yeah.
Now this is pretty advanced stuff. So this is why this class is a bit of a challenge, but don't worry. We promise you, but you will get all set up properly.
Yeah. What I'm doing here is I'm just seeing that if that body code, that the error message I was getting in the tag assistant when it said the second element of the code, which is this tag, that's saying that this is not available. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing Control F in here, and then I'm looking for GTM-5C because that's going to be a unique ID to this one. So it says that there's 3 of them in there. I know it's a little hard to see, but it's 2 out of 3 that I found. And it's there. So I don't know why it's not reading it correctly. I'm guessing it actually has to do with the multiple tag managers that were installed. So it is set up correctly. So we'll go into more in the actual class itself of Tag Assistant Manager about how we can test that this body is working, and we'll go into that more then.
What all this means. Yeah.
So I just letting you guys know that this is a way for you guys to go find it. If you do run into that error message, that you can actually do the find and then go look for this no script and make sure that it's got your ID tag, because you'll see ID equals, and then that's the ID that is going to be right here, which makes it unique to yours. And so I'm just going to close the dev tools because that part is done. Now what we're going to do is we are going to use the tag manager to launch your first bit of code. So usually when we set up new Google Analytics accounts, we would set up both the UA and the GA4. But for this one, we're going to create both and have them connected, but I'm not going to install it right now because it is going to be sunset. And we want to set you guys up for the future, and the future is now going to be Google Analytics 4. So to set up Google Analytics, we are going to go over to Google Analytics.
Well, go over to Google and type in Google Analytics.
Or the link that I posted in the chat.
That's true.
But yes, you can go Google Analytics 4, and then it's going to give you a link to something like you'll see analytics.google.com. And so that's the link that you're looking for. It will take you here. And what we are going to do is in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to hit admin. I don't need your little tour. And we are going to create a new account. It's very similar setup to the tag manager. You're going to have an account that is going to be your whole business, and it's going to have properties underneath it, which are different websites or apps that you have. Very similar to what we did with the tag manager. So we're going to hit create account, and this account is going to be called Search and Social Geeks. And then I'm going to hit next. And in this case, I'm going to be calling it Search and socialgeeks.com. Very similar to how we set it up with the tag manager. My time zone is going to be Vancouver. Currency is going to be in dollars. And in this case, there's a little tab here that shows advanced options. And see, they're already said it will stop collecting on July 1st, 2023. I'm still going to turn it on, and I'm going to give it this URL, and I'm going to have them both enabled, and they're both going to be measuring. Then I'm going to hit next.
Now, if you are working on a business for your client and your client is not in the same time zone as you want to put it in their time zone.
Yes. Time zones also in tag and Google Analytics is flexible. You can change it after the fact, which is not true of Google Ads. Once you set the time zone for that, it is done, and you'll need to create a new account. So it's not permanent, fortunately. But yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind, is definitely you want to have the time zones and the money tied to whoever your client is, because they're the ones that are going to be checking on things, and it's going to be on their business, is going to be where it's related to. So there's also, they want some extra information, small. Honestly, this is for them. It doesn't change anything about your account. So I don't really spend too much time worrying about the answers I give here. And then when you go to accept, you also want to make sure that you're accepting on terms of where your client is, because these terms do change very slightly depending on the region that it's in. In my case, I'm going to hit Canada. I'm going to agree, and then I will accept. And now this is where we actually start installing things. And in this case, what you do is on the screen, you go to the top right-hand corner where you'll see G dash, and then there'll be an ID now tag, and it's going to be unique to whoever it is. In this case, mine starts with an HLZ, and I am going to hit copy just to the right of it.
I'm jumping in again. I'm jumping in. Go back there.
What?
I just want to point out something, so if you look over to the left-hand side, notice where it says proper, like you see admin and user, and it says property, right? So I just want you to know that when that screen to open up, you're always going to have either one or two vertical menus that are in the side there.
Okay. And so with the ID copied, the measurement ID, we are going to go back over to Tag Manager. We're going to go to Workspace tab, the furthest left option in the top menu. We're then going to click on Add a new tag, dead middle. You can also, the other way is go to Tags and then click on Add New. Either way works, takes you to the exact same spot. So we're going to click on Tag Configuration. We're going to click on this handy dandy Google Analytics GA4 configuration. And then we're going to paste in our ID. We don't need to worry ourselves with any of these. We'll probably go over it more in our second tag manager class, what all these could mean and how they interact with Google Analytics 4. But right now, there's no need to worry about them. And the trigger, so the way tag manager works, and I'll go into this more when we have the tag manager class, the components that make it, but basically a brief overview is that there's going to be two parts. There's going to be the tag, so what is going to fire the tag itself, and then also when is it going to fire. So in this case, what is the trigger? So when this happens, fire the Google Analytics 4 tag. So what is the trigger? It's going to be really easy. It's all pages. So basically, every time a page loads, you want Google Analytics 4 to load, so it starts tracking information. And then we're going to hit save. And then I'm just going to leave this name. That's a perfectly good name for what this tag is. And then you can see we've created this. It'll also tell you when it was created. So if you've got to keep track of things like that, it's super easy. You'll also see in the top menu here that workspace changes 1, means that one thing has changed since we started, which is us creating this tag. And then what we're going to do is hit submit in the top right-hand corner. We are then going to give it a name that says added GA4 tag. A nice brief name lets us know what we did when we submitted this. Okay, and so now we are going to go back over to the page. So we're going to open up our tag assistant again. And what I'm looking for is GHLZ8. Yeah, so we have installed it correctly. Generally, also one thing to bear in mind that multiple Google Analytics tags, not a good idea. I will be removing this, but we're not going to be doing that live. That's basically the best way to say that. So now we've installed the Google Analytics 4 tag. And so the last step that we have on our little journey is to verify this domain with Search Console.